And welcome back to Bitcoin Advisors channel. My name is Chris, bringing it to you here from Westlake Village, California. It's another beautiful day. It's Turnaround Tuesday. We got a lot to talk about. I'm going to jump right into some Bitcoin price action here and kind of go over some short-term and long-term targets. And I do think actually the dollar is the most important thing to look at in times like these. And as we spoke about yesterday, the dollar putting in several drives of hidden bullish divergence coming back from this pivot right here. You're going to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I mean, 5 drives at least gives you a shot into this green box, in my opinion, which is about 101. So, excuse me, 109 on the US dollar, and kind of putting in a bit of a double bottom there. And you can see the same thing is happening actually on NASDAQ, except for it's a double top, right? You can see this little top here. And we are breaking back down into this channel. And I do believe there's several drives of hidden bearish divergence coming back from this pivot right now. And that would give you a shot down at the bottom side of the range, which is coming in at 10,689. Yeah, if we close anywhere here or lower, that would confirm this as a high in my book. And I think very likely we probably head down to the bottom side of the range, pending tomorrow's speech with Jerome Powell. And so bringing it back, I want to give kind of two different scenarios. One is, hey, dollar bounce or dollar collapse. And in fact, I think the dollar probably does a little bit of both, right? A little bit of up and then a little bit of down, and then kind of makes a decision from there. We're coming into December very, very soon. It is the end of the month, so good time to be kind of aware of some of the macro trends. And so we'll look at the monthly time frame as well. So one scenario is the dollar kind of, comes up to 109 and puts in a lower high and and then a higher low, a higher high and a higher low. And we kind of reverse the trend. The dollar continues onwards and upwards. And that would be probably the worst case for equities and the worst case for Bitcoin in that scenario. The other scenario, which I would like to paint here, is in which we have a tick below, just below 104.87, and very likely the dollar comes all the way down to 101 for a bounce and kind of retest this range. This is a macro range, a macro breakout of this range, and that's why we do have higher targets for the dollar long term. Remember, a 3-month chart could take years to play out, and so hopefully that's not the case, but yeah. So back on the dollar on the daily time frame, and here's what I would say is if the dollar, does head up to 109, I think Bitcoin will take another swipe of the lows, which is coming in here probably around 15,700. Now, if the dollar takes the leg down, and that would be mediated with a daily closure below 105, I'd be looking for the dollar to come down to that 103.90 pivot, and Bitcoin very likely comes up and tests the top side of the range at about 18,000 bucks, where another potential lower high could be in place, and then trend continuation. We'll let the trend be our friend till the end of the trend, but we're kind of in no man's land right now, kind of trading at the same price as yesterday at 16,400. And what I would say is we have some economic data coming out in the next couple of days. ADP, unemployment change, you got GDP growth rate, goods trades bounce, the JOLTS numbers, and then Chair Powell's speech. So I'm really thinking to myself, does Powell want to hurt the market? Spending was strong. GDP was up last quarter. And I think, anything that is bullish for the dollar is going to make the Fed think they have to tighten even more. He said it over and over and over. They'd rather risk doing too much now than too little. And that's because, consumer sentiment, which is very, very important, inflation expectations and consumer sentiment is very hard to change once it's ingrained in people, like the inflationary 70s, so to speak. And so, The bull case for Bitcoin is with the daily closure back below 105 and the dollar, taking it down. And that would mean probably equities rally from here as well. At least, I would expect NASDAQ up that purple 200 and the Dow kind of already broke out of its falling channel, but, putting in several drives of bearish divergence. And to me, that's all but confirmed. And if we break back down into the channel, well, that, you know what that means? You're stuck back in the channel. So what's likely to happen? Support becomes resistance, right? So that's it for traditional markets. For the dollar, we spoke about Bitcoin and really the dollar being in a pivotal place. What else do we have in 2 weeks? We've got the Fed rate hike, and then we've got the inflation numbers, which will be coming out. I think it's the 13th and the 14th. So 2 weeks, got some time there, and Bitcoin has some time to, make a decision, or more or less the dollar has a decision to make. Does it want to go up or down from here? And what we've been noticing, unfortunately, as the dollar's been coming down, Bitcoin really hasn't been participating in the rallies. So I would say this, as well, is that it probably won't take a lot for Bitcoin to get going once it does. So, daily closure back above, 17,000 would be good enough for me. And I'd be looking for a run all the way back to 18. And I think that's it for today, guys. I might leave it off with Ethereum, which is putting in a greater bounce, getting stopped out at the 21 on the daily. In the first pass, you expect rejection. Second pass, usually a rejection. Third pass and the fourth pass, usually breaks through. And you can see that here. Nope. On the first pass on the green 55, we broke through, but on the yellow 21, we rejected it multiple times. Finally broke through, and we're getting a bit of a silver cross. And it does look like, Ethereum getting a little bit of a stronger bounce, and I would wait for a 4-hour closure, back above 134, and I'd be looking for a run. I mean, really just a tick above 140 probably gets you to 1240, probably gets you all the way up to 1276. There's probably a lot of stop losses hanging out right here. And, people that are shorting the market here with a stop loss here and looking for a move to the bottom side of the range, which I am pretty much looking for that. Even with this little bit of a rally here, it looks like to me things are probably going to get faded over time. And the dollar being bullish right now is not giving Bitcoin the bullish case. So back on to Ethereum, and it's, pretty much been this kind of a range play here. This is the top side of the range, 1,300, the mid range at 1,190, and the bottom range of 1,082. And I do think that, we could test the top side of the range, come back to mid range. If we lose the mid range again, the bottom side of the range, 1,199 or 1,099, is more likely than not. And if we lose that, well, the next leg down is probably going to be pretty significant for Ethereum, but I'll give you kind of an initial target. And this would probably line up with Bitcoin making a run down, taking out its lows and heading down to about, I think we were talking about 14,500, 15,000. And this ultimately is coming in at 986. So just seeing if that lines up with anything on the daily. So, likely to bounce off of these wicks at some point before just shattering through it if we do get a downside move. But, Ethereum is up 4% today. Bitcoin's up 1.5% today. XRP up 2%. Ape up 1.8%. And the dollar sitting there at 106.84. So where do the bull traps come in on the 4-hour time frame? Probably at that 618, which is right where we're at right now. And if that does, confirm another lower high, trend continuation, dollar down, and, stocks and Bitcoin might take a little bit of a rally here, a little relief bounce. I think another important pivot to keep an eye on here that is kind of goosing the odds in the favor of the bears is the 5-day time frame and the extreme. And by the way, any kind of a tick above 16.8 very likely gets us that move up into the $18,000 region. I'll just throw that out there. Again, not financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor. This 5-day time frame is going to close here in another, how many days? 2 days and 4 hours. So a lot can happen in 2 days and 4 hours, but momentum will remain to the downside as long as we're below 18,866. So again, looking at some of these higher term time frames, more likely a bounce than not, is coming to fruition. And, I'll start with the daily closure. If you want to front run it, 16.7, conservatively above 17,000 a daily. And I'd expect to run up to that $18,000 pivot. I think that's it for me today, guys. I hope you have a blessed and highly favored day, and I'll bring back some more Crypto TA tomorrow. Don't forget, like the video, subscribe if you want to get some updates, and we'll be seeing you soon. Take care.